Well, hello everyone, it's Nina. I'm so glad you're joining me for a new tutorial. I have a very bright and very colorful card to share with you today using components from Simon Says Stamp's August 2020 card kit, Picnic Parade. There's a lot of great picnic themed products in the kit, but there's also a beautiful sunshine themed stamp set that I wanted to play with because I haven't gotten a chance to use it a whole lot. I thought it'd be fun to pair up the stamp set with some Distress Oxide inks, but remember that you can create a similar look using other inks that you may already have. My idea is to encourage you to use any inks you have to create a beautiful blended background, and then we'll add some fun stamping details on top using the stamp set. So let's jump in. I first have a piece of white cardstock on my table here, and I'm going to use some Distress Oxide inks, like I said, to blend on some color. I've picked out Worn Lipstick, Wild Honey, Twisted Citron, Peacock Feathers, and Wilted Violet. I thought these would create a really nice blend of color between each other. I'm not going super heavy with the first application of color. I'm going to add additional blending on top in a few minutes. As I'm blending, please be patient with me. I accidentally burnt my thumb, and because of that, I'm having to be careful with my thumb, and I'm not able to grab onto my craft sheet as easily as I normally would, so things are a little bit wobbly, so I apologize for that. After I've gotten the background completely blended and smoothed, I'm going to work on adding another layer. This time I'm using the Simon Says Stamp Clouds for Days stencil and those same ink colors, and this time I'm applying the stencil down over top of my blending, and I'm blending on another layer, and that's creating these really cool clouds in my background. And you can do this with other inks that you already have in your stash. The key is that you're going to want to apply a light layer of color first, then add darker coloring as you continue with the cloud stencil. So my stenciling is finished. I'm going to go ahead and set this aside as I clean my craft sheet, and then I'm going to splatter some water over top of this background to get that cool splatter effect. I really like the texture that this gives, but if you don't want the water splatters, feel free to skip this step. After I let that dry, I'll bring in the Hello Sunshine stamp set that's in the kit, and I'm going to start stamping some images. Because I want these sun rays to look like they're coming out from behind the clouds, and actually one of the clouds there on the right is actually going to serve as a sun because it happens to be right in a yellow area, and I thought it'd be cool to highlight that. But because I want the sun rays to be coming out of that, and they're slightly smaller than the cloud itself, I'm actually going to use the cloud stencil as a mask. So I applied that down, and I'm holding it down with some tape, and now I can stamp over top of that stencil, and anything that's not being covered by the stencil will get stamped with those beautiful sun rays. And as you can see, I'm using embossing ink to stamp those down. That's because I'm going to use antique gold embossing powder from Simon Says Stamp to add that over top of my ink, and that creates these beautiful sun rays coming out. There is an adorable little heart stamp in the stamp set as well, and I'm going to emboss that with the gold embossing powder to create just a little bit of embellishment to my sun. I really love this antique gold embossing powder because it has a very nice warm tone to it. Alright, so all of our inking and stamping are done on this panel, so we're ready to cut it down. I'm using Simon Says Stamp nested rectangles to cut this panel down to a slightly smaller size than an A2 card. I wanted to be able to make sure I frame this up exactly with my sun, so I'm going to use those to help me make sure all of my lines are straight and that I have a nice framing around the sun element. There's a lot of great greetings in the Hello Sunshine stamp set, and I'm stamping one of them onto the black cardstock that you get in your kit, and I'm embossing it with white embossing powder. I'll go ahead and heat set that, trim this down into a little panel, and this is going to go underneath of my sun. So now we can have that sun segmented from the rest of the clouds, and it really pops off of this card. I kept things very simple. I didn't want the sun to get lost in a bunch of embellishments and such, and plus I'm trying to use just contents from the kit. So I'm going to add one more bit of detail that I forgot to do before adding my panel onto the white card base. The white cardstock's also in your kit. I'm going to add some splatters of Fine Tech Silver watercolor. You don't have to use the Fine Tech. You could use other metallic watercolors or inks that you already have. I went ahead and splattered that onto the background to create some really nice shimmery texture. And I'll show you that once it dries. I'm almost done, but I wanted to stamp a bit more and I wanted a coordinating envelope. So I'm going to ink blend an envelope. This is an A2 Simon Says Stamp White envelope, and I'm going to add all those same colors that I used in the background onto the left-hand side of my envelope. This is upside down at the moment. So after I've blended the background, now we're ready to stamp. I love this rainbow color that turned out. It's really beautiful. So I'm going to go ahead and lay my envelope into my MISTI, and I'm bringing in the cloud stamps that are in the Hello Sunshine stamp set, and I'm stamping these in the same colors that I've blended with to create some really beautiful rainbow clouds in the background. I thought this would be a slightly different look than the stenciling that I did on the card, but because it's clouds and rainbows, it really coordinates nicely. So I think everything really works together well. I'm going to continue all of my stamping until the entire envelope on the left-hand side is covered, and I'm leaving the right-hand side open so that way I can write the address to the person I'll eventually send this card to. I love this envelope. Bit more splatter effect on this as well. I used both the watercolors and the water to create some splatter for this. That way it matches with my card. And then finally, I'm ready to add the last bit of embellishment to my sun card because I was trying to let those watercolors dry. I added a little bit of glitter to the sun itself, and then I'm adding glossy accents over top of the sun. And that's creating a really nice highlight to this area. And this is where your eye is going to get drawn to on this card. Here's the envelope with the same water splatters and watercolor texture that the card has. The shimmery effects are just stunning, and I really love how this card turned out. The Hello Sunshine stamp set that's included in the Picnic Parade card kit, which is the August 2020 kit from Simon Says Stamp, is a really versatile stamp set and can be used with the other products that are in the card kit or on its own. I hope you enjoyed today's video and got some inspiration using contents from the kit, and that you'll try this card idea out too. Thanks so much for tuning in today. I hope you'll subscribe to my channel for additional inspiration, and I thank you so much for stopping by and visiting. I will see you again very soon with more to share, and until next time, I hope you have a very bright and happy, wonderful day. Bye!